Hi there, church. We're in another week of loving God, sharing relationship, and serving others from the heart of Christ. Since worship is at the heart of that vision, it makes sense that a number of us are starting to ask what our worship is going to be like when we can't worship outdoors anymore. Our plan is to continue worshiping outdoors through the month of September. And on Tuesday, the session is meeting and they're going to consider a reopening plan. They're going to ask what our worship will be like when we need to move indoors. And we hope that we will be able to get some definite word to you with an indoor worship start date and what that plan will be like. And we'll communicate by email, we'll communicate by video, by this e-newsletter, kind of like we did for when we started in-person outdoor worship. We want everyone to understand what the plans and protocols will be and how those who choose to come are going to continue to do all we can to keep one another safe and our community safe. We do want to be a community that flows with the grace of God toward each other and outward to our neighbors. And this week I feel like I got a little lesson in that, or at least I might have. I was at a soccer game for Gareth. I was sitting in the home stands of this stadium that was configured so that at the evening hour, which is what we were at, the home stands looked directly into the sun. So it was blinding. It was kind of scorching. We were all so thrilled when a cloud came over and covered up the sun. And after the game, I said to Gareth, why in the world would this school make their stadium home stands face toward the sunset? I mean, why would you not want to give that to your visitors? And then it occurred to me, well, gosh, maybe they were doing that as an act of hospitality, that the home fans were being asked to take a little discomfort, maybe a view that they didn't prefer, in order that the visitors could have the shade, could taste some grace. And I don't know if that's really true. I feel like I want to ask someone and learn about this, but if it is true, that is a fantastic illustration of the gospel. Jesus comes among us, and Jesus bears the brunt of so much abuse in order that we would taste the grace of God. And then he calls his church to follow him and to be people of grace in a world where there is an awful lot of nastiness going on. So that's a great question for us to ask as the church in the world as it is today. How is it that we can make choices that may not be our preference, that may even inconvenience us, that may even cause a little hardship, but might be choices by which others are able to taste the grace of God for themselves? So, for example, we could donate some soup, like our food pantry is requesting for this week. It'll cost us a little more. It might add a little bit to our time if we have to run out and get something. But what if through that gift, someone else gets to taste the grace of God? We could come to Work Day coming up on September 19th. And we'd devote the time. Maybe we'd have some sore muscles if we were not used to working around the house very much. But through this beautiful property, those who come and visit here, I think, get to taste the grace of God. We could join the Renovare book group, which would involve a little reading, some discipline, showing up to others, and maybe being kind of vulnerable about what our life with God is like. And I know that for many people that's hard. But if, as we do that, we come to know a little bit more about who Jesus is and a little bit more about how he is coming to us and filling us with his life, could it be that we would come to show a little bit more of his life to other people, and they would taste the grace of God? What if at the heart of God's purpose for each of us and as the church isn't to find our way into the life we really enjoy, at least as we would configure it for ourselves, but to find our way into the flow of God's love so that others would taste it through us? As we restart life as the church, it seems like that's a question we really need to ask, especially in these days that can be so contentious and sometimes just downright mean. What does it mean to be a community called together by the grace of God, transformed by the grace of God, and a conduit by which someone else might taste the grace of God? I don't nearly receive that opportunity for my life as much as I'd like to, but I do want it. And I want to be church with others who want it too. Let's be that church together, loving God, sharing relationships, serving others from the heart of Christ.